Hey, I'm John Muir Laws, and this is the Nature Journal Workshop. In this presentation, we're going to be learning how to use cross-contour lines. Take a look at that big blob you see in the bottom of the picture here. This is actually a section taken from the end of this workshop. This is what we're going to be building up to. How to kind of three-dimensionally construct to understand a shape by creating lines that go across the contours of the object. This really helps you visualize things in a three-dimensional way. It helps with adding shadows and just understanding the form of what you see. I find this a really useful skill for drawing all sorts of different things. If this sounds of interest to you, this is the workshop for you. So stay tuned, and we're going to get into understanding cross-contour lines. So we're going to be taking a look at spheres, cylinders, the torus, which is basically a bagel, and those other kind of blobby forms that we took a look at. This workshop and other materials are all available on johnmuirlaws.com. You can also get a lot of other resources to help you with your drawing and with your nature journaling at that site. You can download my most recent copy of my book, How to Teach Nature Journaling. Special thanks and shout out to Emily Lygren and Heyday Books for their contributions to this. Also on the site there, if you like what we're doing here, please make a donation to help support me and my family doing this work. You'll also be able to find on this, on my web page, which is johnmuirlaws.com, hundreds of other tutorials and resources to help you with your nature drawing and journaling. So today we're going to be looking at these cross-contour lines. I find them really, really valuable anytime I'm kind of blocking in a three-dimensional form and I want to wrap my head around what is going on in space. If you look on the breast of the eagle owl on the left-hand side, the one that's painted, you see a faint little line like a zipper running right down the middle of its belly. This owl did not have a line going straight down the middle of its belly, but that line was really crucial for me understanding and visualizing, being able to take what I was seeing and turn it into a form. So with cross-contour lines, a lot of it is stuff that you'll eventually just be able to visualize. You don't even have to draw them on the form there, but they'll give your drawings a much better sense of solidity. So we're going to start with looking at the sphere, and we'll be wrapping latitude and longitude lines around a sphere as a visualization exercise. So to do this, grab yourself a piece of paper, and what we're going to do is we are going to draw 7 circles. We're going to make 7 circles, and we'll be using these for the workshop we're doing. The way that I recommend you draw circles is don't try to just press hard. I can't draw. See how wobbly that one is? I cannot draw a circle right out of the bag. So what I do is I start lightly circling, and as I start to like some lines and not others, I just reinforce those lines that I like better. So if it starts out just a little bit, I need to poach, yes, I got to push it out on that side, but maybe not that much. So you cut that part off, include that, there we go. Okay, so try this, give yourself 7 circles. This is also a good way just to practice starting drawing lightly. And then you'll be able to build up on top of that. Give yourself some time and draw 7 circles. All right. Now that you've got your 7 circles, we are going to start to fill these with contour lines to help us imagine these not as flat circles, but as round shapes. So for the first one here, we're going to start with a vertical line right down the center, and then we're going to make a set of parentheses, 3 parentheses. You can put little dots in to kind of help you with the spacing. And these are cross-contour lines of the center line of an object if you then started to rotate that object. Very much like the lines that go from pole to pole on if you look at a globe, you have the longitude lines that go from the North Pole to the South Pole. And so you're drawing in sets of longitude lines like that. You don't need to be exact, but roughly block it in. We're then going to do it sideways. Again, practicing these doodles. Think of these as exercises as doodles to help you start to visualize how to add extra form and dimension. So follow along with a piece of paper. See if you can create these lines, these parentheses. It wasn't very rounded. That's okay. It's going to be close enough for me to block in a lot of the features. Much of this work I do with my non-photo blue pencil. So as I am drawing and sketching, if I do these sorts of lines, I'm going to be doing them on a very, very light level that the person might not be able to see. And if they can see these lines, then they're going to, it'll help them understand the form and the structure of what you're looking at. Where they do show through in your drawings, it can really kind of add a cool kind of constructed feeling to what you're doing. On this third one, what I'm going to do is get one set vertical and one set horizontal. And I'm going to layer them both up on top of each other. So give this a try yourself. And notice how when you do this, these flat circles, your brain starts to think of them as pooching out towards you. Isn't that interesting? You start to kind of feel a little dimension in these. Now, I have these two sets of overlapping lines. And what I'm going to do on the next circle is, actually, well, first I'm going to show you here on this third circle. I'm going to choose two lines, one vertical, one horizontal, and I'm going to darken those two. And you can pick any two lines, but I'm going to suggest, to help you kind of follow along with this little workshop, choose this one, darken that in, and this one right here. Just darken that in. All right? And now what we're going to do is, on this one right over here, we're just going to draw on those two lines. So many objects that I draw, the faces of animals, of birds, these two, they get two, the sphere will get at least two cross-contour lines across it. One goes down right the center of the face, the other commonly through the animal's eye. And these will help me think of whatever I have as a sphere. So now, let's do that again. But we're going to start to add to it. So give yourself those two cross-contour lines. And here is where things are going to start to get interesting. So this is just like we did before. But now watch. Here's the exciting part. We're going to make a beach ball. So we see where those two make an X. I'm going to make a line straight right through the middle of that X. And then I can chop these other sections in half, kind of averaging out sort of what I'm seeing on either side with my line. So it's going to come down, and then it's going to curve a little bit, and down into there. All right. And same with this space here. It's mostly straight, a little bit of curve at the bottom, and then tucking up in there. Let's do one more. And it's a beach ball. All right, so this beach ball, these are our longitude lines. Right there, I've got the pole. Got my little pointer right where the pole is. And what you're going to do is this doodle of a sphere with lines converging at a pole is a really powerful doodle to train yourself to do. So if you're just sitting around in an office meeting waiting for a Zoom meeting to start, draw a sphere and put longitude lines over it. Let's do that again. But on this next one, we're going to make it a little bit more interesting. We're also going to throw in our latitude lines. So it's starting exactly the same way. And I'm using those same 2 lines for all of these. You can start to mix it up for yourself by picking 2 different lines, and your pole will be pointing a different direction. So here's that line, the straight line right through the middle of them. You're saying, why is that line straight? Well, get out your globe and take a look at, when you rotate it, that line that ends up right in the middle, you see it as a straight vertical on either side of the pole. Right. So this is just a very powerful visualization. And the more that you mess with this, the more naturally these curves are going to come to you. It feels really weird at the start, especially the degree that these lines are going to, in these next ones that I'm going to, actually, well, here we are into the, oh boy, here we go. The latitude lines. It's an oval. Got an oval there and another oval kind of disappearing around the edge. See how this oval really is going to hook up towards those corners there, sharp corners right there, into a sharp corner right up there. Let's drop down to our little, another for a little equator here. This one's not going to have quite as sharp corners tucking up because it's coming into a flatter part. It's going to intersect the sphere edge more perpendicularly to the edge instead of kind of coming into a point where you've got a curve going on. So here's my little pole. I've got latitude and longitude lines. And you follow that center one out. That's where the pole, the center stick, the stick that goes through your candied apple is going to be. All right, so this doodle, this is the doodle. This is what you want to work towards. You've got latitude and longitude, and visualizing those together is really, really, really powerful. All right, so you just want this to be something that you're just messing around with a pencil, you get this little drawing. And if you have a real globe in your house, get it out and start turning it at different angles and look for what is happening with these different angles. If you don't, get yourself an orange and a marker, a Sharpie, and start drawing on it. Turn that orange around from different angles, and you'll learn a lot about how cross-contour lines wrap around a sphere. I'm just going to have a little bit of fun here for a moment with this last circle. You can start with those 2 critical cross-contour lines as we've been doing. You can turn this into the head of a bird, the head of whatever you want. These lines are going to help keep, you're drawing a human face. They help keep your eyes on the same row. Here, I'm going to make my daughter's stuffed bear. We're drawing, it's in response to COVID, sitting around with the family, my daughters wanted to draw their stuffed animals. Well, what a great resource. We got out our stuffed animals, and something that's really great about drawing stuffed animals is a bunch of them have these seams that go right down their middle, right over the middle of the forehead. And so they have actually built into them these cross-contour lines. Ooh. And so we can pick those out. So I'm adding a little snout right here onto my circle. So here's my little bear snout. And it comes down to a little inverted Y shape here on the edge of the muzzle. That side kind of disappearing out of our line of view, and this side, and then we've got our other little lip, little bare blubbery lip over that side. We're doing this as a little exercise here, just because well, drawing stuffed animals is fun, and the other reason is just to sort of show how you can take all sorts of different things and put them into um, uh, into the framework of the sphere with these cross contour lines across it. So here, see the little contour line coming down the side of the head? That's where my ear is going to pop out. I want that ear to start and end along the plane of the surface of the head. And that little bit of contour line helped me with that. It's interesting what we find ourselves sketching at home, finding things that are. It's fun to start to take a look at these objects that have been around us our whole lives, but we never really paid that much attention to them. I got out a green bean out of my refrigerator and was blown away that there were features of this green bean that I had never noticed before. And so you do have resources without even stepping out of your house, things that you can learn something from. If you've got a house plant, I mean, that's a full-fledged safari. You've got lots of things that you can, lots of interesting things that you can check out. And now I'd just like to add your daughter's stuffed animals to that list. There, ladies and gentlemen, is Bear Bear, the Snuggleable. All right. So we've got the framework of the latitude and longitude. These we've put on a sphere. You can also envision those as on an oval. Notice the way these lines curve. Let's take a look at the one on the left. All right, our latitude lines. The one in the middle is straight, and then they come down straight on the sides of that, and at the bottom, dip, they just start to curve in. Isn't that interesting? Why do they do that? You're going to have to draw a line on an orange and start to just rotate it and see what it does. See what it does. See the same effect on your globe. Notice as you get more towards the sides, those shorter arcs coming out from the pole, how much more they hook down in these long, sharp hooks. You want these shapes to start to be intuitive to you. Let's take a look at on the right-hand side, the latitude lines. You're starting off with some ovals at the top, but then you're losing the edge of the oval behind the edge of the around the other side of the object. And notice that the ones at the top are much more sort of sharply hooked. Sort of the letter C that is making as it wraps around there is more sharply hooked. And then as you go down, they're blunter tips. They're not those really sharp points. So thinking about how contour lines are going to change their shapes as you go up and down on the object, very, very helpful. This is an illustration from my book on drawing birds. I think of these sets of contour lines as wrapping around the belly of a bird. I find them in a million different organic forms. And look at the one on the left, how you've got that center line down the middle of the belly, and then stripes following that. And on the one on the right, notice how there's this upper chest section that went to the third line down, the third blue line down, kind of frames in this upper chest section, and you can see that zone hooking around the other side of the body. So these cross contour lines are ones that you want to start to feel and to be able to draw. And again, the best way to get this is just by making a bunch of doodles of the globe. Now, let's take a moment with some cylinders. We're going to just pay a brief attention to cylinders, and I'm going to draw two off of this one column here. I'm going to make two cylinders stacked on top of each other. Here's the circles for one, here's the circles for the other. For this little study, I am ignoring the changes that you get in perspective as you look down on a cylinder or look at one at eye level. For now, I'm just going for some isometric cylinder study here. Here's the top of my can. And on this one here, it's going to be flipped around. I don't see the top of the can. I'm going to see the bottom of the can. And but notice that both of these they're the same drawing, just one's flipped around the other way. And if I erase these lines, then it looks like not a glass of water now, it's a can. Right? And we're going to look at in a moment how lines wrap around these cans. If you have a soup can in your kitchen, go get out your soup can and check that out right now. How does the label on your soup can wrap around that form? We'll be adding some lines to this in a moment, but before we do, we're going to take a look at cross contour lines on a torus. So a torus is the fancy way of saying bagel. The bagel shape is a torus, and what we're going to be doing is drawing a bagel. And what I'm going to do is start with an oval. And here's the middle of my bagel. But I'm going to cut this. So I'm going to imagine that I can see through on the inside. Here's imagine a cut slicing through. I'm going to remove a chunk. So I've got 4 circles drawn within the edges of this. And what's going on here will make sense in just a moment when I just reinforce a few lines. Here is the side of the bagel closest to us. And on the other side, we have, well, the other side of the bagel. And you can see part of the cut surface of the bagel. That's what you're getting right in here. Right, and I can erase these lines here. This is all in the part of the bagel that's turned towards me. And there's my sliced bagel. All right, missing a little piece in the center. It'll make a little more sense if I add some shading to it. But the thing that I really want to do here is add some cross contour lines on my cut bagel here. And the direction that these cross contour lines are going to go is going to be the really pivotal thing here. So let's take a look. Here we go. If there is a line wrapping around the bagel on the sides here near that cut, they're going to follow that edge of the cut pretty closely. But a slice through the middle is going to be straight up and down, just like on the globe. And lines that are on either side of that Here we are close to the cut, following the curve of the cut. But in the middle, whoop, straight. And something between those two will be a line between those two. All right? So this, if I'm drawing lines on the can then, they are going to be mirroring the curve of the edge of the can. So notice that near the cuts on the bagel, the lines there are the curve in the same direction as the edge of the bagel itself, just like the line near the edge of the can. If my object turns, as it does in the middle, it has to go through one point where it's going through a vertical line. So the curve becomes less and less and less until it is a straight line pointing straight towards me. And then it starts to curve around again on the other side. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the bagel doodle. So the two doodles that I'm really going to suggest you do are start off with the globe with the latitude and longitude, and then this bagel doodle I think is very, very instructive because you get these lines wrapping around in a very, very interesting way. And at first it's kind of counterintuitive, like what's going on? Just remember that in the center of the bagel, you're going to have the straight line. Outer towards the sides where the cut is, they're going to follow the curve of the cut. And then in between those, it'll just be getting progressively straighter toward until you get to the point where you're right in the middle. If you're able to do this, you're going to be able to draw curves, an object and the curves around it, and if that object changes its orientation, like this macaroni noodle, the edge of the bagel turning away from you or towards you, you'll be able to still follow that with your cross contour lines. And once you've got that, you are ready for, this is the fun part. This is what we kind of led with. Remember those kind of weird organic shapes? That's what you get to play with. So just start off by making an oval. Make an oval and put a kind of center line down it somewhere. Here's the middle of my oval, and here's the end. Right here is this next cross contour, and just put in, you've got the contour, that's the edge of the thing, and then you wrap those cross contour lines around it. And once this is kind of like a long grape, but once your long grape is looking good, you can start to bend and twist it and curl it around. So on the outside of a bend, it's going to be stretched, but on the inside side, it's going to be folding in little creases of my kind of blubbery sausage thing here. And so you get to make up your own fun little shape, and you can kind of give it little rolls of tissue, and then say, where would kind of the ridge line of this, the top line of this be? And then draw a little oval at the end, and then start to wrap cross contour lines around it, and you'll see that this thing just jumps into 3 dimensions. Ooh, that's fun. So curving around, now watch this. Straightening out, and now we're going the other way, right? So I just turned it so that this part can turn towards me again. Ooh, isn't that neat? Isn't that neat? So I could have had that other end still flopping away from me and just continued the same directions, but because I switched like the middle of the bagel line in there, I got to take that other end and turn it towards me. And then you can make, excuse me, any crazy shape you want. Any crazy shape you want. So this is the lummox. All right, so I'm going to draw a lummox. What's a lummox? A lummox is a great sort of weird, glumphy shape that you make, and then you turn into a 3-dimensional blob. I'm making kind of a tail-like end right here, and then it's going to kind of come in like this. There's going to be some blob on the side of my lummox, because lummoxes have lumps. You can make your own lummox. It doesn't have to look like my lummox. You can just sort of make any crazy shape, and you're going to get a feeling for your lummox. And then what you're going to do is add cross contour lines all over your lummox. So I'm going to start here right up the middle of the tail, curve that around, and then it's going to disappear and then that center line, it's going to reappear over the back here, go out around the neck and up over the top of the head. So I'm just kind of going like, where is the center of the back, right? We can do this, right? You can do this. It's fun. It's fun to kind of construct the lummox. And so here's another kind of, you start to feel the changes in angles the more that you do this. It helps to draw kind of contour lines, especially at places where there's going to be a big change in the angle of the thing. So mine is going to have a more narrow back, and then the body is going to go blue out from there. So here, little shelf, and that from there the body curves down. So over the top and then down. Oh, on top of the leg bump. Don't forget the leg bump. So the leg bump's going to be somewhere in there. And we're going to come and then angle change, down, leg bump. It's just fun. So you're carving this lummox lump as you go, right? And it starts to just three-dimensionally appear in front of you, and it's really, really fun. Really, really fun. Now here's a little change in angle right there. Now, look at, okay, on the neck. The neck is first going to come out towards you, right? Comes around the corner here, still towards you, but then I want it to, remember how the bagel changed directions, coming towards you and then going the other direction? We're going to do that. So notice how these angles, they're curving, then straight. Ooh, straight line. What happens on the other side? Ooh, change of angle. All right, look at this. So this one goes this way. This one goes this way. Straight line in the middle. We just changed the direction. They're now looking on the back side of this. Right, here's more of the angle of the head here, and then it's going to fall down from there. Right, tuck it in under there. Right, and here and down. Right, down. So when you get to places where there's major changes in planes, these are where you're going to get changes in the angles of your cross contour lines. And if you had made these lines in a totally different way, your lummox would be, even with the same outline, you can get a totally different lumpy body shape going on in there. It's really, really fun to make a lummox. And these lines also guide where we put our shadows. If you're looking at an object with real shadows on it, those shadows tell you where there are real breaks in angles of whatever it is that you're looking at. If you're making up your shadows on your object, then you want to think, where are there real changes in planes on the surface of this? And if the light is coming from over there, then this is the area that is going to be in shadow. Right, here's still up here on the side of the head. Right, that steep slope down there is going to be all in shadow. What about this side of the tail? Yeah, we'll get that in shadow there. All right, a little bit of shadow up in here in my rice and my kind of mystery organ thing here. So these kinds of doodles with cross contour on them, really fun to do. Really fun to pop in a few little darks. All right. And you can add highlights. If you train this with imaginary things, this will help you learn to think three-dimensionally. And then when you are applying it to real objects, you actually don't have to draw in all the contour lines, the cross contour lines. A bunch of it is just going to be intuitive for you because your brain is now thinking, wrapping around an object like this. So this is really high percentage stuff for our drawing. And you know, they say, I'm living in New York City, fifth floor. I don't even have a house plant. I've eaten all my green beans. What do I do? Draw yourself a lummox. You still have a lummox. All right, so create a lummox, play with those, and then when you get outside again, and you will someday, here's this cool banana slug. A lot of my visualization of this kind of came from thinking about cross contours, out adventuring with Carolyn and Amelia. Um, and so I've got a little diagram of their adventures where they found the banana slug. You've got Carolyn up and down. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little Carolyn drawings because she was everywhere on this crazy burned redwood tree stump. And Amelia was just sort of in place sketching. Um, and then they found the giant banana slug. They got to ride around on it, and that was really fun. That was a good day. Yep. Okay, so I've just got one more thing to share with you. I was going through some old photos trying to find something relevant for this book. And just in case you're starting to forget what it's like to go outside because we can't right now, I found this in one of Carolyn's old sketchbooks. So I just want to read this to you. See if, first of all, you can read it, what she's saying here. My favorite thing to do is to have picnics, so I can draw something in my sketchbook book and eat fruit. So someday you'll be out there again with your sketchbook and your picnic eating fruit in the sunshine. It's going to happen. We are going to get through this, my friends. Take care of yourself. Take care of others. Be kind. Be generous. And keep sketching. I hope that this little strategy of adding cross contour lines can be your new secret weapon to help you visualize things. If you've got some funky shaped vegetables in your refrigerator, bust those out. They are fantastic things for playing with cross contour drawings. And it's just so much fun. Again, this is the Nature Journal Workshop. I'm John Muir Laws. Thank you for joining us.